you don't get a kick out of serving people, like just making people's day, no matter how much money you make, we're not the place for you to work. Right? If that doesn't like give you some tingles, which it literally does when it's fun serving customers and they're lit up, and they're excited and you're creating joy or you're providing them just a service to get down the road, you're enriching their lives. That's what we're about.
Welcome back to the Missoula podcast. Brandon, good to see you this morning.
Stephen Ressett. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, me too.
It's been a long time coming.
You say that every time.
He does.
I do.
Walt Muralt, welcome to the show.
Why, thank you.
Hey,
Thanks
Walt,
for having me.
I'm kind of excited for this one.
He says that 2 times every show.
Walt, what does it take for a business to have its 50th anniversary? Like, what were some of the challenges of getting to that point?
Well, I remember hearing something, or maybe I read that when entrepreneurs or business people started a business and they were asked after 20 years if they would do it again, and a lot of them say no because they have no idea what you have to do to get through it. And I would say that's kind of case in point here too. I mean, you just got to have a lot of passion and at the end of the day, perseverance and getting through things like the recession. I mean, it's all real. Everybody thinks small business people just are always swimming in cash and always that in the truth. I mean, you asked me between 2009 and 2013, I would say I felt I was either going to have a heart attack or a stroke any given day. And it was, instead of burying jars of cash in the backyard, I was burying mason jars of debt. And just very grateful to the financial institutions and some people that helped me out, quite honestly. So it's persistence, and a belief and having figurative duct tape in your back pocket for whatever it is, a piece of equipment or a personnel situation or whichever. It's been rough, but if you don't have a passion for it, then you're not going to get through it, right? And if you don't have a work ethic, I think that's true. And good people. You got to have good people, right? So there's probably 18,000 other things too. But
what were you originally from? Born and raised?
Well, both my parents were small town North Dakota people.
Okay.
And our family story is I have a brother, older sister, younger brother. Our family story is they got together and my dad started working for Amico Oil. Maybe you all don't know Amico Oil, Standard Oil breakup. Amico Oil is quite big in the United States back in the 70s. And they lived in North Dakota. So my dad worked for them. Then they relocated him to Kansas City, Missouri. I was born in North Dakota. And then when I was 3 months old, I said, this place is too cold. Let's get the heck out of here. Thanks. You picked up on that, Stephen. And we moved to Kansas and lived there for a while. And then parents being from small town America, Kansas City was great, but got to watch the Chiefs and the Royals play down there and all that. But when I was a young kid, we moved to Montana, take over a bankrupt little truck stop west of Missoula. I mean, it was nothing. I mean, it had a.
How did the truck stop even land on the radar?
Well,
for your parents?
That's a great question. A few people ask that question. So my dad was working for Amico Oil, and he had a buddy in the real estate department. He says, "Hey, I think our next move was Chicago," and so he told his buddy, "I don't think I'm going to do this anymore." Amico Oil owned gas stations, and I don't even know if my dad knew they owned truck stops at the time because it was newer. But he said if any station comes up, I think he just said gas station comes up, let me know. And he'd been up to Montana on a fishing trip with some clients of Amico Oil, and so this guy said, there's this place up in Missoula, and he went up and checked it out and took any and all savings and plunked it into this little truck stop.
So your dad had zero idea on how to run a truck stop.
Oh, no. He was a promoter. He knew business. He was very sharp financially, numbers wise. He had graph papers on everything. And no, he knew customer service. Had he done operations? So his dad, my grandpa, Walter as well, he's my namesake, had a butcher shop and a grocery store in a small town of Litchfield, North Dakota. We're talking about a town of 300, farming town. So my dad worked in that business. And so he probably just learned the value of hard work, probably mostly. But yeah, my dad was pretty specific on what he wanted in business and just took care of customers and made acquaintances. And, folks like Marvin Rabine, you get to know a guy like that of Rabine Riverside Construction back in those days, building highways. And he says, I just wanted to help that Marvin he just passed away not too recently. Great guy. He just said, he'd always tell me, I wanted to help your old man out. And then once he got on his feet, I fueled wherever I needed to because he's just an independent guy.
So did you end up high school in Missoula? How old were you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How old were you when you guys came to Missoula?
Grade.
Fourth grade.
I'm a Lewis and Clark pioneer. Now they're the Lynx. And
Nice.
A Sentinel High grad.
Okay.
And then the University of Montana.
Okay. What'd you go to school for?
To get smarter.
Okay.
Hopefully it didn't work. I'm waiting for it to kick in. Business administration.
Okay.
And then marketing.
So growing up, watching your dad in the gas industry and buying this truck stop, did you have plans of going into the family business, or what did little Walt want to be when he grew up?
Well, Walt was always kind of big, but and I definitely my mom was part of it too. She was a nurse. She was a registered nurse, taught nursing at University of North Dakota, gave up her career to raise the kids. And then when we moved here, she worked in the business as well. So
Okay.
I always say Gary and Susan Muralt, my parents, were both integrally involved in making the business happen. But yes, oldest son thing, I guess. One of my earliest memories of being here, or maybe the earliest, we didn't move here. Furniture didn't get here. We're in the house, sleeping on the shag carpet of the 70s and on a sleeping bag. And I wake up at like 4:30 in the morning with, my dad had told me the night before, but it's like 4:30 or something in the morning. And he's hitting his foot into my ribs. Not kicking me, he wasn't abused, but he was like nudging me to get up, let's go, we're going to work. And getting in this old shop truck, and where you honestly, the floorboards were rusted out. I could see the road underneath, like the Flintstones. You could see the road underneath the car as we're going out to the truck stop.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So that was 50 years ago when your dad.
Yeah. 50 years
acquired.
ago. Yeah. This year.
When did the truck stop become Muralt's? Was it day one, the name change?
Well, it was like Muralt's Truck and Auto Plaza, Auto and Truck Plaza, or a truck stop,
okay.
And to answer your question. So I kind of grew up working, or your question before, working out there in the business, but so did my brother and sister, but just not as much. Summers, we do this thing called Hump Day, Help Day now, where we do full service on Wednesdays from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. When we first moved here, everywhere in the country was full service, so I grew up, that was my first full-time job, is doing full service out on the gas line, on the diesel line. A trucker would pull up, you bump his tire, wash his windshield, check his oil, and he'd go in and get coffee and come back out, and you'd run the piece of paper in to say how much he got in fuel. You didn't even have the inside register. You had to go inside and tell him how much it was. But anyway, that's early on when I was a kid. So I was just connected to it more.
Why isn't there more full service? Is it not sustainable? Labor costs? Is that?
Well, and even when we do Hump Day, Help Day on that Wednesdays I talked about, this a little plug, right? 7 to 7. People are used to pumping their own gas now. They're suspicious when you walk up. We have a whole training thing on how to present, how to approach a customer. You can't do fake, because they're like, what are you asking for money? What's going on? Or is your price, they're looking around, am I on candid camera? Is your price higher than the other guys? So we have this 3 or 4 step thing to do to approach people, to put them at ease, so that you would think it would be easy. It's a hard sell to have somebody allow you to pump their gas or wash their windshield. But once they do, then they're grateful. And we tell them what it's about.
Do you want to wash my windshield?
Sure. Okay. I'm pretty good at it. I've washed a ton in my life. Back then, you didn't get any tips. These days, the guys get tips because they don't expect it. Yeah.
Well, what were some of maybe the most important lessons you learned from your folks, watching them as entrepreneurs, building a business? Was there any impact happening at that time?
Oh, gosh.
Was that just
I think you absorb more than you have a clue that you are at the time. And I guess 20, 30 years, 40 years later, I can continue to realize that. But them just giving me an opportunity to be involved in the businesses, and especially my dad. It was my dad, really, he was an entrepreneur pusher. My mom was the office manager, but they'd kibitz about things, but taking risk, respecting people, whether they're your team members, employees, or vendor partners. I mean, so many businesses don't think vendors are their partners, and they absolutely are. You've got to hold them accountable, just like a team member. And then customers, of course, and just valuing customers. And I tell how much of this is me and how much of this is my parents and how much is it from education, University of Montana, I don't know. But anybody, if you're in the hospitality business, my line to people that I'm interviewing is, if you don't get a kick out of serving people, like just making people's day, no matter how much money you make, we're not the place for you to work. Right? If that doesn't like give you some tingles, which it literally does when it's fun serving customers and they're lit up, and they're excited, and you're creating joy, or you're providing them just a service to get down the road, you're enriching their lives. That's what we're about. And I'm a believer that, you got to take care of the financial end of things. That'll all work out, right? Maybe it won't, but if you have that as your mission, you're probably going to make it, and you're probably going to be successful if you just are endeavoring to serve people and bring them value.
2 questions here. One, Muralt's Travel Plaza. What all is included in the plaza? What all do you guys have going on out there?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Great
the
question.
convenience store, the gas, but there's a whole lot going on.
Yeah. And we've wrestled getting away from truck stop for years, because that sometimes has a bad connotation. But so it is Muralt's Travel Plaza, and has been called that for maybe 35 years. We did some rebranding in 1996. So however long ago that was. And, but it's the convenience store and the truck diesel, and obviously the gas islands. But the Wheat Montana Bakery and Deli has been around 13 years. Actually, it's 13 years in a week or two, because that was an old cafe, the old, Muralt's Cafe, like a truck stop diner. And then there's a little quiet bar and casino there, Y West Casino and Lounge, that's been there since 79. And then Days in Missoula Airport. And then Taco Bell is part of Muralt's Travel Plaza, even though it's independently owned by Joe Sample here, a local person as well.
That's all part of your
Muralt's Travel Plaza. Yeah, that's how we market it. It's kind of like Southgate Mall, right? Yes. Yeah.
So what is it about Muralt's Travel Plaza that is different than every other truck stop travel plaza? Like, what is it? I mean, obviously great people. You got the Wednesday promotion, but what is it that genuinely fires your team up about serving people with gas?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And part of it is we're community, right? And I think a lot of people prefer that. If they have an independent choice, like a good food store, like a Rock and Rudy's, I would kind of like say we're that out at the Y, because your other choices are the big guys. Town Pump is partnered with Flying J. Then you got Travel Centers of America, and then you got Love's. Now, they're all great in their own ways, and we're not great in a lot of ways too, and we need to get better. But it is that we're independent. I mean, one of our slogans that we use is, our main slogan is "You got to stop." But I have this other tagline that we use in some apparel and stuff. Is called "Fiercely Independent, Proudly Montana." Mm-hmm. And I love independent business, right? And I think it's the core of what a community is. It's a part of the core of what a community is. And when those small little businesses go away, it's not fun. Yeah. Like Diamond Bar Meats not being here. John Erickson was a buddy of my dad's. And it's just like that, even though I didn't go there all the time, I went there some of the time, and to see a place like that go away is sad. And because it is a fabric of our community. So if I sell out, then that happens. And it's tough.
So, but what's that dynamic like where you got Muralt's and then you got 2 national chains right across the highway in the interstate from
there's 3 national chains.
There's 3 out there?
Well, Town Pump is partnered with Flying J, and Town Pump is
Flying
formidable themselves. And they, I don't knock any of them. I'm a big believer in free enterprise, right?
Loves.
They work their butts off, and they've risked, and they've grown, and all due respect to Town Pump, but Loves as well. It's not easy.
Right.
Well, so Brandon, to your question, I used to have all the big trucking companies, Schneider, Swift, Crete. In fact, I quit signing so many up because I didn't want to pee off my one independent competitor on the other side of the interstate, Crossroads, they were great people, but I had all the big fuel contracts. But when those big guys came along, diesel fuel is a commodity, and I don't buy millions and millions and millions of gallons. The other guys do.
Right.
And so I can't, it's impossible. So I've had to let that go, or
And
else.
that was going to lead me to, okay, you got these truckers going cross country and they're hitting Love's, Flying J
Yeah.
nationwide.
Yeah.
Why on Interstate 90? How do you get them to come to the small, locally independent truck stop versus the national brand and name they just saw 500 miles back?
Well, another great question. We became, it was in 1988, 89, a small group of independent truck stop banded together to form an organization called AMBEST, America's Best Truck Stops, Independent Truck Stops. But this is back when Flying J maybe had 45 truck stops, and now they have 2,000, and Pilot wasn't even on the radar. So we formulated a co-op that was as much for marketing, and then it became as buying. So we go out and sell fuel deals based on their total volume at all of our truck stops, not just mine or ours. And in fact, I was on the road selling that back in the late 80s, our truck stop and the AMBEST. So if you look on our high rise, it says AMBEST.
Yeah.
And most people don't know what that is, but truckers know what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is why they stop at our place is price, service, and there are, everything's on the internet or on an app. So they see our price, they can compare our price. And most of the business we get is independent truckers now. We don't get the big guys.
Well, you said earlier you learned from your parents to take risks and maybe not take risks at certain points. What's the best risk that you've taken that's paid off? And maybe the second question is, what's a risk that you took that didn't pay off?
Oh, that second one is longer list than the first one, and they're painful, man. They're all, I don't know. It depends on how long you stay in. What risk was the best? You always got to invest in the business, even in the recession. It's just the Broadway Inn bought that in 2004. It was also a not functioning business. I bought it when it was not doing well, and the what was formerly this, or what before the Still Room Bar and Restaurant was a Broadway bar, and the whole thing wasn't doing well. That was probably a pretty good risk. It was rough as heck. It took 2 years or 3 years to get it going. So that was 2004. And then I thought I was pretty smart in 2007, right? Gosh, I got this thing figured out, this whole business thing. I think I might have been buying my parents out at the same time. So I was leveraging up. And if you can see the punchline coming, 2007, I think I'm pretty smart. Family built a home, probably too big of a home. And then this October, actually it was spring, it was April of 2008. My GM and I we were just about to do a remodel on the Broadway, and I'm like, and then it was just like somebody took a water faucet and turned the water faucet down a lot in April, right before you're coming in the summer. You're expecting this big, and this was going to be a great year in 2008. And then October, boom, the whole thing crashes. Oof. And I just leveraged up that and other things and built a house. And so, but making it through that, and that took till June of 2015 to dig myself out of that. But then it's been pretty good since. Still challenging, but the hotel business is pretty good, and the still room has been pretty good. But so I think that's been a risk that's paid off, but it took a heck of a long path to get there, and a lot of investment too, During that time, the Courtyard by Marriott was remodeling to 2010, 11. And they were tearing out perfectly good stuff, which I'm just a saver. I think it's a child of parents that were in depression and resourceful, making use of things. And I don't have any money. Yet the Broadway Inn needs some improvement. So I'd heard about this. I called them. They had good mattresses, good TVs. I was salvaging the carpet. The carpet was perfectly good, but they had a brand change, or so they did some change. They're taking out cabinets that are just beautiful, definitely compared to what I had in there. And I told them, the funniest story out of this, I told them, I says, hey, I want that I'll take those breakfast counters, and that. They had a granite countertop and this cabinets, and they were just this nice wood cabinets. And nobody told the contractor. Contractor threw it all in this construction bin. I'm in the construction bin with my khakis and my white shirt on, and pulling these cabinet doors and cabinets out to salvage them to get them into the Broadway Inn. And then we just had to build a new countertop. But yeah, that's the kind of, that you ask about what makes it. To me, that's the kind of tenacity you got to have to take it. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just telling a story. But
yeah, why did you buy the Broadway? Did you have any background in hospitality, hotel industry?
Well, hotels, yeah. The days in out there. And we'd been looking. My dad and I had been looking at stuff, and I got tired of looking, to tell you the truth. I'm like, look, either we're going to do it or not do it. I'm not doing it. I'm like, well, okay, then I'll figure out how to do it and see if I can do it on my own. So that was it. We'd looked at, I don't know, 4 or 5 different truck stops, 4 or 5 different things. And just having some knowledge in the hotel business from the days in, even though it wasn't a ton, and the days in operation is different than an independent hotel, but it's learn as you go, kind of.
Do you have hands-on?
Me?
Every day in?
I'm too hands-on.
Too hands-on. I mean,
I'm out deadheading flowers as I exit a building because I can't handle flowers not looking good. And I have good people that do things. It's just they're busy too. And sometimes I'm just have, I don't know if neurotic's the right word, or just, I just like things to look good. So yeah.
How many employees? How big is your team?
Across shockingly small. Well, we have peak. It probably varies by about 15 or so between summer and December because they're almost all the businesses are cyclical based on summer tourism. I think we're 80, 85 total, maybe 90 in the summer, and then probably down to 85, 80 in the winter.
So when you have 85 people in all different channels, roles, positions, how do you keep that culture, communication? How do you manage your team?
That's just a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
And it really depends upon your department managers and making sure they are in line with what your values and philosophies are, which doesn't happen all the time. And sometimes you don't know it's not happening. You don't know that they're not in alignment in what they're repeating out. And I totally want to respect the structure that you have, respect a manager in their position. I'm not one to go undermine, but what I have learned is you got to stay in touch with the frontline people as an owner. You just got to do that. There's a book, Managing by Wandering. You got to do that. It's shocking. Anytime I got half an hour, I'm going to go walk through the business, talk to customers, and go through the kitchen and talk to Jim and Shane or out back taking a break. How's things going, guys? Da, 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 da. And they say, well, it'd be good if we could get that thing working. I'm like, what's not working? How long's that not been working? Well, 2 months, and we keep telling Jim, but he doesn't do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we'll get that fixed in 2 or 3 days, So staying in touch with the front line and
you probably learned so much. You probably learned so much in just casual conversations.
I'm a huge believer of it, and I don't do it, I just do it because that's habit. But sometimes I get so dang busy doing podcasts and stuff that I'm not. I should make a joke. I get so busy, wrapped up on things, and I'm not paying attention, and all of a sudden something crashes, or a department crashes, or I don't spend enough time nurturing or getting the right people in there. It's tough. I'm not kidding. One of my greatest joys is having team members, employees do really, really well, like really engage and take care of the customer and do a great job, and they're productive and they're, never messing around. That's one of the greatest joys. One of the most difficult things, especially in this business, is finding out when people aren't taking care of your best interests. Saddest of all, stealing from you or something like that. That's very real in cash businesses and hospitality and bar business, restaurant business. It's in truck stop. It's just sad. It's really sad. And it's difficult. And I think that is some of the stuff that just wears people out and say, Uncle, I'll sell.
Irrelevant, but do you have to factor for that in your financials? I mean, do you have a line item for loss of goods
Well, it shows up in different ways. If your gross profit margin is low, but if it's so small, you don't notice it. Over shorts a line item of over shorts will indicate that. But really it is watching video camera, following up on little idiosyncrasies. Bookkeeping is actually charged with, hey, if you see something weird, start pulling on that string and see where it takes you. Yeah, and that's actually something I've learned is like, no matter how small something is, if it seems irregular to me financially, I dive, no matter how small it is, I'll dive in and see, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And all of a sudden you end up with this, oh my gosh, we got a problem. because all these businesses are doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over. So if we're off 3 cents on gas or 2 cents or even a half cent on how gas should be being handled, I mean, that's a lot of money. And the
margins are just so small.
In gas stations, it's ridiculous for the amount of capital you have in it. It's preposterous. If I wasn't probably already in it, I don't think I could buy. I don't think I can buy the truck stop the way it is now with the margins that we have. But just having low leverage now is good. So, but we got our best days ahead of us at Muralt's Travel Plaza. We're kind of tired, but it just takes a ton of capital and attention. And you can't just say, "Oh, spend this capital, be better." You gotta make all those choices to deploy the capital. Like, how are you going to remodel? How are you going to expand? And is it going to have an ROI?
A lot of decisions you have to make on a day, every day.
Let's
take a break for our rapid fire questions, then we'll jump back in. You ready?
Oh, geez. How fast do they have to go?
So fast.
So fast.
All
right. What's your first initial memory of Missoula, Montana?
Well, actually, that story I told about my dad nudging me in the ribs to get up. But some of my early memories are roller skating at Skate Haven, which is right off of Reserve and Brooks. Fishing in the old Silver Pond, McCormick Park. Then I don't know if it was called Silver Pond. Going up Patty Canyon and harvesting rock. Probably, I don't think anybody cared back then to put in the backyard. There's 1,000 memories in Missoula.
The roller skating rink. It's a good memory.
Say what?
The roller skating rink. It's a great
memory.
That?
Was that still around? Yeah.
And then it became like Eddie's Bake Shop.
It was Eddie's Bakery. That's right. Yeah.
Right after that.
Yeah.
Wild. What's your favorite coffee shop in Missoula?
Oh, well, I got to go for my Loose Caboose people, even though it's mobile. I know that's not your question, but I got to give a plug to Malcolm and Stephanie and them at Loose Caboose. But probably Break. Oh, and even Butterfly Herbs, because it's the OG. It's the very first place I had a latte before anybody knew what a latte was, a cafe au lait, a latte or something. So probably because of
you say OGs. That well. That was really
cafe
good.
Au lait. Yeah. It came in a big, they still serve it in the big white cup. Yeah.
What's your favorite restaurant in Missoula?
Well, I've got to say the Still Room Bar and Restaurant, right?
Of course.
But truthfully, probably
best thing on the menu, probably the Still Room.
OGs. Oh, gosh, that's a tough choice. Our pizza is just so awesome. And I'd put it up against anybody's pizza in town.
So
thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Other than the Still Room.
Right, which I knew that was going to come.
Yeah.
So I got to go with the OGs, Ruby's, Paul's Pancake Parlor. And then for dinner would be the Depot, which actually was founded the same. Mike Muncie founded that the same year that Muralt's Travel Plaza was founded, 1970. And he's from North Dakota, which is good.
What zip code do you live in?
59808. Actually, work and live in 59808. Yeah, I discriminate against 5980s, the other ones.
Makes sense. What is the thing you love the most about Missoula?
Oh, yeah. When people talk to people from other towns in Montana, it's like our eclecticness and that we haven't been kind of sold out as much as like a Bozeman, and we're not so big like a Billings. And there's just a sense of community in Missoula, even though we have our challenges between people and all that stuff. But there's more uniqueness to Missoula and we don't have to be better than those other places. But if I was going to do it all again, I didn't live in Montana, I'd choose Missoula all day long. The only thing that's missing in my mind is the ocean. If we could just have the ocean 30 miles away, but cripes all the hiking and all the river access and all that stuff, and just the arts and Missoula's pretty special, man. And I don't think I'm biased, but I am.
Walt, what to you is the weirdest part of Missoula?
Other than me, probably what's the weirdest thing? Well, I think not a lot of people know about this, but the tunnel that goes from Fort Missoula to Mount Sentinel for when they had the internment camp at Fort Missoula. And so the prisoners could walk and not go through the, did you guys know about that?
No.
That's because it's not true. I don't know.
I was like, this is amazing. How have I never heard about this? You sold it too. Like, you could have kept going.
I know. I don't know of any.
I mean, that's a long tunnel.
But it is a long tunnel.
Mount Sentinel.
That's what you're thinking. And you don't want to call BS on me. So you're like, what are you talking about? Right?
I'll have to check that out.
It's a long tunnel. I don't. I don't know, there's probably historical cool things. There's so many cool things about Missoula, but none come to mind. Sorry.
It's all right.
Is there been a specific book that has made the most impact on your life?
Well, probably the book that's make the most sense is this little book called the Bible. But other than that, actually, not a book, but, and I profess, there's an education I did that just made such an amazing, profound, I made a profound impact on myself and my life through it. It's called Landmark Education. And a buddy was telling me about it for 2-3 years, and I finally did it. And it's and it's not for everybody, and it's pretty intense, but a way to see the world and see yourself in it. There's a book that's similar to it. It's called Getting Out of the Box, by the Arbinger Institute. That's kind of similar to it. It has you realize your own stories in your own head that you make up from a young age, and that's how you see the world, and realizing your intentionality of what you say and what you're creating in your life by what you say and who you are and creating who you are, rather than being a victim and saying I'm this way because this and that happened to me. Bullshit. You are choosing who you are every single second of every single day. And when people realize that, tough part is you got to take accountability for how you are, but also what happens to you. So, I mean, what you cause in your life. So that was extremely profound, like no other experience I'd ever had. And melding those concepts in there, which are just huge, and so many with my faith, with my Christian faith, is impactful to me.
Based on those concepts, was there ever a time in business where you were heading one direction, like you believe this is where we need to go, this is what we need to do, and then at the last minute diverted and went a different direction?
Probably a lot.
Really?
I'd have to stop and think. Like we just had a kind of an end of an era this week. We have CAT scale, which is a scale for trucks, right? And always used to be so busy, but because of all the chains, the three other truck stops have a CAT scale out there. Ours is not used, but it's right front of our property. But it's just always been our fixture. It was there since 1988, I think. And that those people, that business, are close friends of our families, and it's not earning its keep. And it's like having a taco stand out there that's selling 3 tacos a day that's on very expensive real estate. So I just had them tear that out this week, and it's I thought for a second, like, well, that one I went back and forth on. I don't know why that one comes to mind, but there's plenty. Actually, here's a perfect one. We closed down the cafe because it wasn't working financially. It was a great asset to a lot of people. People loved it. Chicken fried steak, steak soup, all these. They still come in. Well, you don't have that anymore. And we got to close it and do something different. I was gonna do a Denny's. Actually, was gonna do a Subway. Gonna do a Denny's. Gonna do the big franchise thing. Just said, geez, that's not in alignment with who we are, but we'll probably make more money doing that. Then the Town Pump has McDonald's across the street, and Love's wasn't in yet. TA was TA, and they had their restaurant. It's like, gosh, none of that feels right. So I went to Wheat Montana Bakery and Deli, the owner back then, who's a Bobcat, but I talked to him anyway. When I talked to him anyway, right? But and said, do you guys want to do your week? Because I was tired of doing food. Says no, but we'll let you do, be a branded licensee. And so that's when I decided then that's a better fit to who we are. So I was this far. I did the online. I did the training with Denny's and everything. I was ready to pull the trigger. And at the last second, I just said, no, we're not going to do that.
I think you made the right choice.
I do now, especially in arrears.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate Wheat Montana over Hardee's.
Right.
7 days a week.
That's more in alignment with who we are. Yeah. So I'm happy to. So that was actually a great example. Maybe one of the biggest ones, probably, where I said we were right there and I went, we're going the other way.
What do you see coming down the road for you guys here in the next 10 to 15, 20, 50 years?
Muralt's drought for me and the businesses, continue to improve. It's really fun to improve businesses and see them do better financially. But before that, that the guests enjoy the experience better. So I'm always up to doing that. Hotel business is easier to compete with the big guys than like a truck stop or even a restaurant, because restaurants have that, that cookie cutter franchise kind of thing that gives you the structure. So hotels are much easier to compete with the big guys. You more success as an independent. But I got dreams for Muralt's Travel Plaza. That's why I'm sticking around. That's why I haven't sold out, about what it can be. That's a different and unique offering. That may not be as much of a truck stop and more of the traveler amenities kind of thing.
Can you share any of those ideas, dreams yet? And
that whole Y area is growing so much. So serving that, and it'll bring more competition, but you never know. I've learned, don't get too excited, but it's not, it's tough not to be anxious if somebody's coming in to compete with you, because you just don't know what's going to develop. But you just got to have faith that you may not make it, but hopefully that you'll make it. Not really, but pretty exciting things. But it includes just a boatload of investment, because I own the property that's in behind and to the south of the Days Inn. We're probably only operating on about a third of the acreage that I have out there. So
you have some opportunity.
Yeah, again, not without immense risk, and so I've maybe got one more chapter left in my work career, and hopefully we can get it done.
Earlier, you alluded to back in May, 50th anniversary celebration out at the Plaza. You guys put on an event, like fireworks, pyrotechnics,
were you out
concert. There? I wasn't, unfortunately. I was out of town. My cousin played out there.
The guest list. Just tell me who your cousin
Casey
was.
Smith.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. You told me that. They did a great job.
Yeah, lead singer Showdown.
Showdown did a great job. And June, that was June 13th. That was the kind of the kickoff of our 50 days of celebration. It was a blast. That went off great.
And to me, that's a foreign concept. A truck stop travel plaza putting on a concert and an event. Like, to me, that's creative marketing strategy. What was the idea behind?
Because I'm kooky.
That event.
In 2020 or 2000 was our 25-year anniversary, and we did this one paled in comparison to that. We did a truck show. We had professional singers. Sorry, Casey and Showdown. Touring band, Susie Bogus, Billy Dean, John Barry. They were touring as Billy Bogus and Dean, and they were all pretty higher level country stars at this time. So we did that for the 25th anniversary celebration. So I'd had that in our history, and I'd planned other events as well. But yes, that was pretty big and it was pretty exciting. And we may be doing that every year. We may be partnering with, I can't do it by myself. I'm not going to do it by myself, and we partnered on that weekend with U.S. Diesel Parts, Gomers and Mo Johnson there, because they did a big event the next day. They did Dyno Days with a bunch of truck pull stuff, which is awesome. There was thousands of people out there for that on Saturday. So it was a great partnership of us doing a kickoff Friday night event, band, fireworks, cornhole tournament, all this stuff, and pony rides and bounce house and all that kind of stuff for family fun. And then they did all that on Saturday. So it was really a great with food vendors and all that kind of stuff. So we learned a lot of lessons there and a lot of opportunities. But to have all that property back there, if it's not used, let's do something with it and have a party. And it was just all sponsored. We didn't charge. There was no cover charge or no tickets or anything like that. So that'd be fun to do again. I'm about bringing people together. I love bringing people together, even though it's just so much work.
Here's a great story for you. My grandma, who Stephen, very fiscally responsible, but doesn't understand the concept of time as an expense. So she lived in South Missoula, and whenever she needed gas, she would drive out to Muralt's because it was 1 or 2 cents cheaper than anywhere in town.
Really?
So you had a lifelong customer who would spend $10 to save a nickel.
It's shocking how many people will choose another business for a penny or two. It always shocks me. Where did she live in South Missoula?
Off of Reserve Street, near where the skidding rink used to be.
Yep. Oh, wow. That's quite something. Yeah. Of course, back then you can probably get out there in 10 minutes because there wasn't much traffic.
Yeah.
but her personality was she would look at the ads for groceries, and she would go to Albertsons for groceries and then run to Safeway because bananas were 5 cents cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
So. Too funny.
Yeah.
Well, last question for me. Then we'll get you back to all the big plans you have. But If you were going to give some advice to a young entrepreneur just starting out and trying to build something, had a lot of energy and excitement, what would you tell them after all your years of experience?
Do your due diligence for sure. Don't be overly don't be overly optimistic. Also, don't be overly pessimistic. Pessimism will stall you out, and all the things that could go wrong. And there are things that could go wrong, and you just got to pre-think those out and go, what am I going to do if that does go that way? Probably the biggest thing that I learned is, and that I was guiding me now in the future, is always have dry powder. And I think everybody knows what these lines mean, right? Dry powder is and when you're fighting a war, you got to have dry gunpowder. Well, it's Civil War. Make sure you have dry gunpowder so you don't ever run out of ammunition, basically. And in this case, dry powder is cash or access to cash, borrowing in a responsible way or having a cushion, because every business almost is going to have unknown downsides that you didn't predict. And if you're going to make it, you got to make sure you have that, or else you're not going to see the next day. And it's be ready that it's going to be at least three times harder than you think it is. And to have a balance of life. Don't sacrifice so much that you lose your life or lose your loved ones or risk those relationships. And just got to have that balanced life, which is time with yourself, yes, time in the business. And yes, you might have to work hard through those tough times and put your nose down, but time with your family and all that, and about your spouse, and have that balance, but time with your friends, time out recreating. And that's a lot of buckets. But to have a healthy life and have it be happy through your business life, I didn't. I couldn't through the recession. It's either work my butt off every second, have my mind on it every second, or else not survive, And it would have been a negative impact on the family as well. So awesome. that was a tough time.
Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking time away from fixing the flowers and the entryway to Muralt's to share with us your story. And impressed with taking that risk years ago, and congrats on 50 years. And
thanks.
Here's to the next 50.
And kudos to you guys for running a great podcast that helps bring the fabric of Missoula together and keep the fabric of Missoula going. I mean, it is things like this that keep us going as a community that has identity, that people enjoy and are comfortable in.
Thanks, Walt.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
You bet.